Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit more about podcasting. So like kind of people, especially our generation and even older generation, people in general, very rarely sit down like we are doing right now and just have, and Joe Rogan talks about this because there's very few podcasts that are, an hour and a half, 2.5 hours long. And I think we probably wouldn't do this conversation. A lot of the, podcasts wouldn't be that conversation if it's not for a podcast, but that it forces you into having these very, very long form, in-depth conversations and getting to places that usually vulnerable places that probably would never be touched if it's just kind of in passing. I think that, there's so much value in that alone. And from my point of view and from yours too, I'm guessing, and just being able to talk to so many different people, I'm on to whatever 17 in-depth, hour to 2 hour long conversations. You learn more in just those conversations than from a lot of classes, because these are real life people that have a real life story and that have kind of their own knowledge database, you could say.
Yeah, I fucking love podcasts for that. I love the whole long form content. I love this whole idea of bringing back conversations, long form conversations, because yeah, you can figure out things in a long form conversations that you just can't figure out in these short form 5 minute clips, 5 minute interviews. It's just not possible. There's several things I probably said today where, I wish I would have said them maybe differently, but we have the time to really discuss it and bring out the main points. But I think podcasting, like I said at the beginning, is really going to change. It's going to change the world, and I really hope so. And I hope more people start realizing the power of podcasts. And like you said, the amount of things you can learn by starting. Well, it's one of the reasons I started mine too. Is like, hey, I want to talk to these people because they have crazy amounts of knowledge.
Yeah,
I want them to be almost like my mentors, right? In a way, like not really, but in a way.
definitely.
And
Yeah.
and yeah, and the amount I learned from podcasts early on was just more than I'd ever learned in high school. Just it's just such an amazing way to communicate or to get a message out or just to learn. I'm also like an auditory learner. I think I like doing it. I like listening to podcasts when I'm at the gym or when I'm cleaning my dishes. When I'm cleaning my room. Like it's just awesome. I don't know. I'm a big fan. I'm gonna keep pushing podcasts as hard as I can.
Hmm. Yeah, there's so much to learn, and there's unlimited people. And it's funny because I was kind of like forced into it a little bit. I started it about maybe a month after getting to Miami this past semester. And I get there, and I started having these realizations and seeing, like, I was just super, I guess you could say, like woke in my own mind. Like, I was just kind of like, I could see the matrix like physically right in front of me, like literally, kind of the way the
Love
door
that.
structured, kind of the way people were moving, everyone's on their phone and shit. So I started thinking, oh, social media is the problem. Social media, that's it. All these, but that's because I was just seeing all the negatives. You know, people posting very, very similar pictures on Instagram and constantly sending pictures back and forth on Snapchat, wasting time and shit. But I talked to Lance, who was at a Coconut Grove Farmers, a vegan farmers market. But he was saying that social media is the solution. It may be the problem, but it's also the solution, because if you're putting out, and this dude has like 10K followers, he's posting 10 posts a day, but it's all super good content about, he's big in like health and stuff. Um, but if you're putting out good content, whether it be this or smaller clips of this eventually, like that's kind of the end game and solution. So I was thinking, okay, how do I was literally on the track of like, do I want to create another platform for people to discuss ideas? And I was like all over the board, and I'm like, the platform's already here, I'm just gonna use it, I'm just gonna and I started, I like to just go on LinkedIn and stuff and just like call people or like schedule Zooms with like different people in the food industry, especially. And I was just thinking, like, there's so much value in some of these conversations that I think people should hear them. And so that's kind of how I was kind of like forced into it. I'm like, all right, this is it, and it's super sustainable. You can do it forever.
And I think you're doing everything right in that way. Me being not saying I don't want to be basic and follow a crowd also usually means that I'm not one to I don't want to be told too much what to do, So I'm not a big fan of some of these platforms censoring in numerous ways. Like sadly, a lot of the carnivore, regenerative farming stuff out there is being censored in some platforms. Because I don't know why, but I guess they don't want that narrative to get out that there is regenerative farming that can be done in a way that is still sustainable for the planet. But yeah, it's just these long form conversations. You just get down to the bottom of things that you can't get on some of these social media platforms, and I really see they're trying to platformatize. I think that's the word, platformatize. It sounds strange, but I'm pretty sure that's an actual word. I had to look it up for one of my classes. But Spotify and Amazon and whatnot, they're trying to turn these podcasting into a platform. They're trying to take the freedom in podcasting away, and that's why we need Apple to continue being the steward of podcasting that it's been so far. And there's a really cool program out there right now called Podcasting 2.0, the Podcast Index. You need to get your podcast on there. It's basically trying to preserve free speech in podcasting by creating a podcast index that will never remove certain shows. It's all being done by Adam Curry, who's actually the podfather. He's the one who invented the RSS feed. So the technology behind podcasting, and yeah, he's doing some great work. And I'm just excited to see where podcasting goes, man. Like I read some stats this year. I think we have 100 or 1 million more podcasts now that were added in 2020.
Great.
Think about that. Although it's only a tiny amount of those podcasts that are out there right now that are consistently uploading episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So there's still a lot of room.
There's a lot of room, and there's unlimited room. Like there's and
Exactly.
the good thing about this is like we're talking about all the pros that we see in it, and not once did we think about big numbers. Like it's literally at a very personal level how much you can gain from just personally doing it. Like I'm not thinking about my followers or my YouTube subscribers at all. Like I just don't care. Like I would do it just for the sake of doing it. And also the cool thing about it is like when you die, like this, like what do you want to be? What do you want your legacy to be? Like do you want like because this is all gonna be online for eternity until the world blows up. Like so I see that as awesome. Like you know what I'm saying? Like it's like this is our legacy. This is our physical legacy, I guess you could say.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And it's just, yeah, like you said, I love the idea of this being out there forever. And a lot of these conversations are evergreen content, meaning that it can be listened to 5-6 years from now, and it's still often stuff that's viable then, that's still current, because you're not just, unless you're making podcast episodes that are only about, things that are trending right now, or things that are hot that gain people's attention, then you're maybe, in it for the short term. But yeah, if you're trying to just get on, like, honest people on to talk about what they know, and that stuff is not always correct. That's one thing with podcasting. You get that in social media too, though, or just the internet. Don't take everything I said today like at face value. You need to do your own research, and that's one of the issues I think we are having with social media, and just the politics right now. It's just people aren't willing. People were really easily, or we really easily jump into groupthink, you know